Welcome to Parent Squad. I'm Felicia Lawrence. And now that the new year is here, a lot of us have made resolutions that we hope we can keep. But parents, we do have one for you. Make it a priority to prioritize yourself. You have heard it from time to time, prioritize self-care, take care of your mental health. You've heard it. But how do we actually make that happen? We have a family medicine doctor here, Dr. Matthew Lash. He's from Franciscan Health to help us. And I think this is just so important. And I think a lot of people do roll their eyes when they're here because it's like, how am I prioritizing self-care when, depending on your life, you might be holding on by a thread? But I know you have some advice.
Yeah. So, and it's essential. It's really important to, take care of yourself. Whether that's like your physical health, your mental, your spiritual health, right? Because that kind of impacts how you interact with other people, like your coworkers, your kids, stuff like that.
Yeah,
so.
I like the idea of taking this to your medical doctor, just because you are hopefully going to see them at least once a year, and they're trained to talk to their patients about different things so that maybe if they can't help them as your primary care, that maybe you can send them to someone else that can.
Exactly. Yep. So
you guys have seen a lot, is what I'm saying.
Yep. We've seen a lot.
You're trained to deal with this.
Yes. Oh, yeah. We've seen a lot of different, medical issues that come up. And when you're not prioritizing your health, there are like a lot of negative consequences from that, right?
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
I've seen it.
Yeah.
Yes, I do understand. I do know what you mean from firsthand experience.
Yeah.
And it's not being selfish. It's actually being proactive. It's actually setting a good example for your family, for your kids, to be able to try to find that balance if you can.
Yeah. So, having your kids kind of watch how you prioritize yourself. So whether that's like, hey, mommy's going to take a shower or daddy's going to go for a run or,
Do some deep breathing.
Exactly. I'm going to do some deep breathing. Hey, can you, you guys can either watch TV or go play outside or play downstairs in the basement or do something, I'm going to give you an activity. Can you give me a couple of minutes, right? So that's one way to do it. Another way is to kind of like engage your kids in it, right? So whether that's, if you're doing like spiritual readings or religious readings, right? Or, words of affirmation, right? If you have like a calendar and you read one every day, incorporating your kids in that, right, can be a great way to kind of incorporate them as well.
Yeah. I like the idea of really talking to your kids about it, because so often we try to be perfect as parents for our kids, and we don't want to stress them out or make them weird or feel weird or anything, but showing them how you're taking care of yourself could have the positive benefit. It sounds like what you're saying. We want to talk about physical health, exercise, sleep, diet. Let's start with that first of all. And again, being able to show that to your kids would help. What would you share with patients, with the folks at home about that?
Yeah, so I'll talk about each one kind of separately. So exercise, it's important, right? So having your kids kind of witness you going out and either, doing something on a regular basis, staying consistent with it, right? It lets them know, hey, I can do something consistent, right? So having them see that, but also you get the benefits of that activity, right? So I'll switch a little bit to your diet, right? So, kids tend to be notoriously picky, right? So, some parents, right, just elect to, eat whatever they want, right? Whether that's mac and cheese or chicken nuggets, right? That's their, kids, I feel like, can almost live on that, right? Hopefully with a vitamin of some sort or some vegetables, right? But
get something in there.
But it's not selfish for you guys to make a meal or parents to make a meal for themselves, right? And then, hey, kids, if you don't want to eat it, here's your other option. Or, hey, this is the meal we're going to make because this is what mommy and daddy like, right?
Yeah.
So, and if you don't want to eat it, hey, here's our backup option, but that's it, right?
I just feel like, and I don't know if this is the right approach as a parent, you could correct me, but I'm like, I just keep serving it. And, some days it's a hit or miss, but, and he might pick around it. Broccoli, let's just say that.
Yeah.
But I feel like if I just keep serving it, eventually it'll stick.
Yeah.
No, is that the right way to look at that?
And them seeing, your kids seeing you eat vegetables, right, is going to make it, oh, okay, mommy and daddy eat this, right? Because the problem would be is if you're telling your kids they have to eat vegetables and you're not eating it, right? And then they would say, okay, hey, mom and dad aren't doing this, so why would I have to do this?
Is that a good example? Okay, so you talked about exercise, diet, and then sleep.
That's the hard one, right? Because kids notoriously, especially, the younger kids, tend to steal time from you, right? Whether they're sick, night terrors, stuff like that. And that can be really hard, right? So setting a consistent bedtime for your kids, and then if you use your self time at night, right? Making sure you have enough time if there's that, the kid isn't going to bed, right?
Right.
So
It cuts into your personal
exactly.
time.
And then, having that rotation schedule where, like I'm a doctor. So throughout the week, it's kind of hard for me to stay up, right?
Okay.
Because my work will be impacted, right, the next day, right?
Yeah.
So on the weekends, I wake up and I take care of the kids and I try to stay up, try to stay up with the kids, and try to allow my partner, my wife, to have that time, right? So getting that balance with you and your spouses can be really helpful.
Yes.
Right? Hey, can you take the early shift and I'll take the late shift, or vice versa, right?
Yeah, just a reminder, you all, Dr. Lash here has 6 children, okay? So he knows what he's talking about. Not only is he a medical doctor, he's done this 6 times. So he and his wife. So that is certainly wonderful. I know there are a lot of parents, especially moms, who are sitting out there and they're like, diet, exercise, I'm doing the best that I can. Like, what are you talking about? Start small. That's my advice.
Yep.
Maybe you only have 5 minutes to walk, or maybe you only have 20 squats in you, but do those 20 squats, be consistent, like even showing up like that little bit of a show up, you're brushing your teeth, can you get a squat in? That little show up adds up and it starts to like snowball and get bigger and bigger.
Yep, and that's great,
You're making fun of me. You guys don't squat and brush your teeth. Listen, I got to get it in however I can get it in.
Yeah. So whether that's doing it during your activities, like you're brushing your teeth, right?
A commercial break. There we go.
Exactly. Yep.
Because we're all exhausted. We're watching Netflix. Or you might be doom scrolling or something.
Yeah.
Can you just give me 2 minutes of some movement?
Yeah. Or squat or plank during the wall sit, or plank during the commercial break.
Doctor,
I
slow
know.
down.
That's a lot. That is a lot.
Not a 2 minute plank. Slow down. Okay, mental health, as we know, is key. Everyone's talking about that. Mental health, self-care. What do you have for advice for that?
Yeah. So important things are like, you need to think about how you're interacting with other people. Are you thanking them, right? A small thank you to a coworker for something that they were supposed to do anyways can go a big way towards their mental health and your mental health, right? Even if it's like, hey, they just gave you a piece of paper that you needed, right? That they're supposed to give you. You could just say, thank you. That meant a lot, right?
An attitude of gratitude is the only way I'm making it through right now.
Yep. And then likewise to your kids, when they do those small victories, like, my kids leave the door open, and it's, ice cold outside and they're leaving the door open. But when they do shut it, you thank them, right? Or my daughter the other day picked up our entire bathroom and the clothes in the bathroom, right? And put them into the laundry room. And so I thanked her for that, right? And that, those things mean a lot to them, because when they do those small things, they don't always get that gratitude, right?
Certainly.
Yeah.
Certainly. Yeah. Yes. Attitude of gratitude goes a long way. And then networks and boundaries. What does that mean?
Yeah. So, setting boundaries. So when somebody comes to give you stuff, like, hey, I need you to do this, right? Or I want you to do this.
I love it.
You can set boundaries, right? So, hey, I'm sorry, that doesn't fit in my schedule right now, right?
Okay.
Or, hey,
I'm swamped.
I would enjoy doing that. Exactly. I would enjoy doing that, but right now I don't have the bandwidth, or,
Yeah, being able to communicate that, and that's so important, especially around this holiday season, because people also want you to show up socially, as well as through your work, as well as in your home life, and so you can't possibly do it all. Another key here is, though, social connection outside of our parenting roles.
Yeah.
As a new mom, my baby is involved in a lot of what we do these days, but you still also have to find a way, I guess, to find yourself independently.
Yeah, and kind of going back to networking, right? That's building a group of people where, whether that's, family or friends, right? Or even like a nanny or somebody that you can reach out to for support, right? Unfortunately, like, you can't just raise your kids by yourself. You need a community, right? So whether that's your church community or you're a friend group, right, that has kids similar age, and you're like, hey, can you come over and watch my kids? Or if you have kids that, friends, offer to watch their kids, right? And then that might be reciprocated, right?
I love that because I think a lot of people are like, well, how do I build that community? Me personally, myself, I've only been living here a few years and I'm still trying to connect with other moms. And I think I like what you're saying, like reach out to them and offer to help them. And maybe there's an opportunity for a relationship to kind of grow and build. Because I think a lot of people feel alone during, especially in early parenting years, you kind of feel alone.
Yeah, and I could understand why. You feel like you're using all of your time and energy on your child.
Yes.
Right?
It feels
and they need it.
isolating in a way.
And they need it, right? So, if you don't have family in the area, reaching out to like a mom support group or, I know there's like, when I was in the military, there was like these jogging stroller mom groups where they would get together and, run together with their kids in strollers or walk together, right?
I love the idea. I'm sure a lot of people chuckled like I did. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just told you I'm exhausted, doctor. Now I'll join the running group.
Yeah.
I like that though. I like the idea.
Yeah.
Maybe you're in the walking group first.
Exactly.
Baby steps.
Yeah, baby steps.
Okay, we know all these things are good, but we're also not only doing them for ourselves. We're also clearly doing them for our kids.
Yeah. So when you're more centered, when you're taken care of, when your health is actually taken care of, like your blood pressure is good, you've seen a doctor, you're on the right medication, right? You're going to do better for your kids. You're going to be there more for them. You're going to be able to do those activities that they like to do, whether that's sledding. I don't know if you've went sledding yet with your kiddo.
I have not. I do have a sled though, but I have not been yet. Maybe the next snow.
Exactly. Yeah.
The next snowfall. Okay. All right. I know this probably sounded like a lot, and you have probably heard many of the things that we talked about today. But this is a doctor. Listen to him. Listen to me. Listen to all of us. But start small. Okay. Do what you can do. Start small. Thank you, Dr. Lash.
You.